Ciao a tutti, io sono Adam e sono qui con Lisa Williamson che ci parlerà della sua esperienza qua in Internazionale e di ciò che fa. Hi Serena. Hi Lisa, sorry. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you, really good.
How's it Internazionale?
Really good. I came here admittedly not knowing much about what the festival was and very quickly realised it was just a festival full of really interesting things. And generally, because I'm a writer, I go to strictly literature festivals, so it's really nice to be at one that covers so many different topics. And I've taken part in 3 sessions here with other people, so filmmakers. There was yesterday I did a panel with sort of 7 people, and there were sort of historians and filmmakers and other writers, and it's just been really lovely to meet so many people who I just wouldn't come across ordinarily, and also in a beautiful town. And I love the way that the festival uses all these incredible venues. I've done a venue in a beautiful theatre, in a courtyard, in the courtyard of a palace. It's incredible, so yeah, really good.
You said you are a writer.
Yes.
What is your work and where do you work?
So I write for young adults, so I write for a teenage audience, and my first book is called The Art of Being Normal and has been published in Italian this year. So I've been here talking a lot about that book, and it's a book about gender identity. So it's about transgender teenagers. So while I've been here, I've been taking part in discussions about gender identity, particularly from my angle being somebody who writes with the younger people in mind who are dealing with these issues. But I live and work in London, so it's a real treat to get to come to Italy to talk about my work. Yeah.
Oh, nice. And you are even an actress.
Yes.
Where do you work and why you are an actress? How did you discover your passion for theatre?
It's interesting because my passion has now shifted to writing.
Yeah.
So, but when I was very small, I wanted to be an actress desperately, but my career perhaps never was what I had in mind. So I wanted to be a film star, and that didn't happen. So I did a lot of theatre in the UK, and I also do a lot of TV commercials. And I've actually been in an Italian TV commercial, weirdly enough. But that passion has shifted now to writing. So things have changed a little bit for me, but yeah.
And what do you think about child labor? In England, this and in the world, this topic is discussed, but there is no solution. We didn't find it yet. And what do you think about this?
I think in the UK there have been quite a few sort of high-profile stories. Particularly, there was one where there was sort of a big network of men who were exploiting young girls, and it went completely under the radar. And apparently police were alerted, social services, and nobody, for whatever reason, nobody did anything. And it caused, it was a big story. And the fact it was a big story suggests that it doesn't happen that often, but it is still a problem that young people can slip under the radar, and particularly now with a lot of immigration coming into the country, the young people, particularly young girls, are really vulnerable. And if they're not immediately in the system and supported, then they can basically disappear. And so it's a huge problem. Perhaps less so in the UK, but I don't know. So I don't know what the solution is. But I do fear that a lot of young people are slipping under the radar when they come into the country.
And what do you think about like immigration and immigrants' rights? We spoke that a lot of times immigrants' rights are not so respected as you said before.
Well, obviously in the UK, and we are apparently leaving the European Union, and I do find that the attitudes to immigration in the UK are, from a large majority of people, are very short-sighted. And for me, I live in an area of East London that is incredibly multicultural and all the richer for it. And I think London as a city, and many cities in the UK, would completely fail to function without the immigrant population there. So I just think it's often very short-sighted And often it's people who don't live in an immigrant community, so don't understand that all the benefits that immigration can have. And a lot of it is fear of something that's unknown to them. So a lot of the time, depressingly, a lot of the pushback against immigration comes from people who are actually really don't come across people who've immigrated into the country on an everyday basis. So I find that hugely frustrating. But for me personally, I love living in a really rich, diverse neighbourhood where I get on the bus and there are lots of languages being spoken and there are interesting people and interesting shops, and I just feel it makes a far richer community. But unfortunately, not everybody shares my views.
It's so disappointing, this.
Yeah.
And with this, I respect point of view for like immigrants. A lot of newspapers and medias try to focus on the bad view of the immigrants. What do you think about this?
Again, in the UK, we've got some amazing publications that are incredibly, I guess, supportive and show lots of different views. And then we have some that are less so. There's a publication in particular called the Daily Mail, who run a lot of very damaging stories that often are short on the facts. And the sad fact is that this is a really well-read newspaper, and also is a website that is visited frequently. It's hugely popular, and the stories that it runs are hugely damaging and are very short on facts often. They are very good at dehumanising the immigrant population and creating an us and them kind of atmosphere. You do have other publications such as The Guardian that are doing their best to counteract that, but I think there's still the media is hugely biased in the UK and often biased against sort of immigration, the rights of immigrants in our country. Yeah, so it's not good. No.
Okay, so thank you for this interview.
Thank you.
And soprattutto adesso continueremo il nostro lavoro durante Internazionale e ci vediamo presto. Grazie Elisa.
Thank you.